So that was my journey. So could you please go ahead and just tell me your journey?
Okay, well, do you need me to say my name and all that?
Please do, please do.
Okay, my name is Myra Dean, and I'm 74 and a half years old. And I guess this is my faith journey or faith story. So I don't remember when I didn't know about God, because I was raised in a Christian family and strongly influenced by my mother's side of the family. My dad really didn't have any faith until he met my mom, and he knew if he was going to get the interest of this little woman, he was going to have to go to church. And all he'd been exposed to in his youth was what they call, well, he referred to as holy roller tent revivals, which he didn't want any part of. But then he met my mother, who was raised in the Presbyterian church. He went to the Presbyterian church with her because he knew that was the only way he was going to get her interested in him. And he traveled. And so I like to say Presbyterian church is not high church like Catholic. It's not quite as high a church as Episcopalian faith seems to be, but it's high church in that they don't really do praise and worship. It's more traditional church. So that's what appealed to my father. He felt it was very dignified and it touched a place in him. So I never had the option not to go to church when I was a kid. I mean, as long as I can remember, my mom and dad took us to church. And I was very active in my youth group, and my social life pretty much was all around my youth group all the way through high school. And so that was, I just don't ever remember not going to church. I was real involved. I gave a sermon at church when I was 13. I was on the Christian Education Committee, which was unheard of as a teenager. So I was real involved. And then I went to college, and I kind of I absolutely really did just kind of wander off. And when I attended church, there was a little congregational church down the street from where from this college, and I would go there. But I really just kind of, I never questioned.
Yeah.
Wasn't that I questioned. It was just like, I don't even know how to describe it. There was just distance. And there's some kind of an old joke or commercial about where a wife is complaining to her husband about that they never sit close together anymore in the car when they go places and all of that. And the husband said, well, I haven't moved. You know, he was still behind the steering wheel and his wife was sitting over on her side, but she was complaining to him how they didn't sit together. And he said, but I haven't moved. And I kind of feel like that was kind of how it was with God. God never moved. I never questioned whether there was a God really, or but I guess I needed to find out about the world, is all I can figure it, because I didn't go to church faithfully. It was just like I had been so sheltered, I think, in my youth, that when I went to college, it was like I'd never even balanced a checkbook. You know, I'd never had the option of whether to go to church or not. And it was suddenly, I was just thrown out there, and it was like all these things I needed to learn. And I think it was my faith. I won't even say my faith wasn't as important. It was just not active in my life.